Welcome to Top Rated Gym Podcast for the gym owners aiming to take their business to the next level. I'm your host, Andre, and I'm interviewing top performance, best rated, highest revenue, fastest growing gyms in the world, regardless if they have a single location or empire of thousands. If you own a gym and looking for ideas how to get more leads, increase conversion, grow your membership base, or facing troubles with customer retention, maybe your employees, or operational challenges, this is your podcast. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to another episode of Top Rated Gym Podcast. Today I have a special person and it's Michael Orwig, guys. And before I tell you about him, I want to tell you that a lot of business owners struggle with being a business owner. They are mostly operators. If you're stuck in your business, if business depends on you, and if it drives you 24/7, that means you're operating a business. You're truly not a business owner. There's a difference between becoming an owner and freeing up yourself, being able to rely on somebody else, having processes in place, and really getting that time back is what transition from operator to owner means. And today, Michael Orwig from Fitness Premier, it's a multi-location business with over 19 locations. Michael has abundance of knowledge and recent transformation of the brand, and I can't wait to share the story with you on this podcast. Michael, we're so pleased to have you on the call today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andre. I'm excited. Thank you.
Awesome. So, Michael, just for audience to get to know you a little bit better, would you mind in a couple of minutes sharing your story, like Michael and Fitness Premier?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go back to 2000 when I graduated from college. I applied for a teaching job, and I guess when I got a degree, I'll become a school teacher. And I applied for one job, got a job on the spot, taught for 11 years. And during those 11 years, I learned really, really quick that I wasn't a great teacher, but the one thing I had going for me was my work ethic, my dedication, my passion, my understanding of helping others, which is why I got into education. And in 2006, I got my master's degree. I became a school principal. I was at that time coaching 3 sports. I was a head football coach and also athletic director. So I wore many hats: principal, athletic director, football coach, basketball coach, baseball coach. I was the driver's ed curriculum director as well. So again, going back to my work ethic, I had plenty of experience on managing others. And what drove me out of education was actually when I started to wear a suit and I had to work with teachers and parents and everybody who's pointing the finger at everybody else. So then I started personal training on the side at a small health club in my hometown, Bourbonnais, Illinois, which at the time was a Cardinal Fitness. And I was training for free. That was the trade out. I got a free gym membership to train clients. And it was something that got my head out of what I was doing, 60, 70 hours a week. And at that point, I became friends with Jason Markowitz, who was the owner of Cardinal Fitness in Bourbonnais. And for 4 years, things were going great. And again, what drove me out of education was getting out of the classroom into the office. And I started having conversations with Jason about, learning more about business. Mind you, I've never had a business class in my life. I could barely spell the word business, let alone understand what a business model or P&L or all the other, strategic things to growing a business. But what Jason saw in me was my work ethic, my passion, what I could do to help grow the business model. And what he laid out to me at the time was an opportunity to grow the brand. And at the time they were talking about converting from a Cardinal Fitness over to a fitness. So huge leap of faith. I went home, talked to my wife, who's a complete pessimist, and I'm the optimist. And fast forward to today, yes, we are still married, but I left education. I had a 6-figure job to take a 70% pay cut to a health club in Manteno, Illinois. And for 6 years, what I learned really, really quick, and I wish I'd have learned a lot faster, was it's not just about me. It's about growing others, training, developing, helping them grow. Because if we're all learning and we're all growing and we're all doing things that kind of feed into what the vision is for your company, it'll make everyone's job much, much easier. So, for 6 years, it was a daunting task. And there was plenty of times where I went back and probably become a school teacher. But at the end of the day, we paired up with a company called EOS that kind of helped us simplify our business model and strategically help us grow by making our day-to-day operations, our goals, all of our ideas and innovation and our vision and our passion can all be checked in on a quarterly basis and monthly basis, yearly basis and yearly basis. So when we use that tool, Andre, let's grow, what I really realized was it's great for Fitness Premier, but what if we took that idea and instilled it into every location? Because in 2011, we were at 2 locations. 2014, we were at 6 locations. 2017, we were at, I think, 10 locations. So we took that idea, and my job was to use that tool to help each individual location create accountability chart, using simple tools to grow their clubs, because we're hiring and training people who have never operated businesses before. And we've done it very, very well. So I wish we would have started a lot sooner. The first 6 years were very challenging because I was doing it all myself. I was working 80 to 90 hours a week, which I'm sure most health club operators are. But now I needed to take a step back. And what do we need to do to help us not grow our business, but grow our business the right way by delegating, simplifying our business model, and strategically allowing us to really differentiate ourselves in the fitness space that we're in.
Whoa. There's a lot being said here, Michael. Let's try to explain to people. You mentioned EOS. And for many people don't know what EOS. They might be Googling now, what the heck is EOS? And by the way, there's a book called What the Heck is EOS as well. So it's Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I'm going to touch base that in a second.
Sure.
But it is like Windows for all your software. It's like basic that runs your business in every part of 6 areas of the business, from the meetings to the planning to the execution to evaluation and hiring and keeping people and everything. What I want to do is to understand it, where this idea of EOS came from. Like, how did you guys either get the need? What challenge did you face? Did you say, "Oh, we need some better way"? Like, where did it come from?
Yeah, good question. The simple answer is we got passed on the EOS information from somebody else in the fitness space, and it was working for them. We're part of many mastermind groups, one being Rex, another one being Vistage, which you may or may not be aware of, and let's help them scale and grow. So we were past the implementer name and information through EOS, and we went to a meeting, and we left that 4-hour meeting with, holy cow, this is going to help us really identify where we're lacking that's preventing us from growing. Because we had all the tools, we had all the resources, we had all the training materials, but we didn't keep it simple enough. And that's the basic premise behind EOS, is keep it simple, stupid. And hear that as an educator and as a principal. And we always used to reference that with the kids, athletes, and teachers. But there's a lot there. And that's what EOS does. It helps solve the strategies to keep it as simple as possible. And everyone in the team is accountable. So more isn't always better, right?
Yes.
So we have to delegate. We have to create an accountability chart. We have to have weekly meetings that is structured. We have to create issues. We have to solve issues. And we pass these issues on to individuals, and we solve for them on a weekly or quarterly basis. And then we make what we call rocks to help us stay on track towards hitting those goals every 90 days. That feeds into what the vision is for the company, and all the way down to each individual location. And if you're not on track, as a team, we have to solve them together.
Wow. Let's try to start with one thing. Guys, many founders, owners, managers, multi-unit owners, CEOs of fitness brands, as you listen to my podcast, say it's just a critical part. You cannot go from where you are to multi-unit national brand if you don't do standardization. Some of them says it was the hardest part of their career to document all the processes, to put it SOPs, to standardize procedures. And it can be if you hire somebody from EOS, and by the way, this is not commercial. I'm not in partnership with EOS, but I'm using it in my own company as well. So we started like maybe 9 months ago, and it made such a huge impact. What I liked about, you mentioned accountability chart. Many people mispresent that with org chart of the company, because org chart is hierarchy. Like somebody's in the top, somebody's in the middle, somebody's down on operation and daily routine. No, this is not it. Accountability means who's doing what, who's responsible for what outcome. And in this accountability chart, same person can have a multiple seats and get out. So, and it's fun how it starts. Usually you kind of let go everybody from the company virtually, and then you create the seats. That's how we did it. You create the seats, is what this position entitles. What is position? What's the responsibility? 5 most important jobs of this position, and you put for every role, and then you said to people, let's apply. Who wants to apply for this role? And of course, some of the people who carried role before apply, some of them don't. Now knowing what's expected from them. So accountability job, knowing clarity, it's good for the managers and directors and the founders of the company, but it's also so critical for myself and whoever is working in that job, right? I have 7 roles in my company. I'm in visionary, and I'm in the marketing, I'm in sales, I'm a podcast host. I take a lot of cool things, but each one of them, I'm very specific what I'm carrying. And when I pass the role, I pass that part of the role and move on.
Yeah, you nailed it.
So how long did it take you guys to work on this? Like, you started how long ago? Where are you in the process? Because this is like 2-year process of transition, isn't it?
Yeah, we're right now. We just had our quarterly, which is in July. So we just had ours. So we have 4 meetings a year that are quarterlies, are about a day and a half long. We had an implementer for the first year. The entire first year, we used an EOS implementer. And again, the idea was, how do we help us scale our business and make it simple as possible? And we thought about it using it just at the corporate level. My goal in the very first meeting from my role in the leadership and development is taking all the tools necessary to help each individual clubs.
Yes.
Accountability chart, create a scorecard, have the rocks for all locations. And then I go in and audit each location to make sure they're either on track or off track. What I can do to help them solve for issues faster, so that we don't, because the majority of our locations have the same issues. We're running fitness business. It's not hard. It's hard work, but it's definitely necessary. So the accountability chart really allows us to dive deep into, what is your skill set? What are you best at? Now, what are the 4 to 6 things that you're focusing on over the course of the next 90 days? And 80% of your week is focused on those things. So now it's hard to measure the 80%, but at the end of the day, you're putting more emphasis on those top things that are the most important for us to help us grow the business. It's not all the other stuff. It's not all the other things that we have to do on a daily basis. It puts all the emphasis on who owns what. And if we're all accountable, no one's accountable. So making it super simple, super crystal clear, and each individual person on your team is responsible for those 4 to 6 things.
So there's no me and this person will do this together. No, there's only one person. My operational director called it one neck to choke. Who do I call for this? Either it's on track or not track. It's done or behind. So brilliant. You said one term called rocks. I had never heard that term before US. How do you get rocks? Like, just to translate this to audience, like a rock.
Yeah, visuals always help, right? So when Sean, who our implementer was, like, he actually, in our meeting, we talked about rocks, and I'm a visual learner like most of us are. And he actually had a glass jar. He had some rocks, he had some pebbles, he had some sand, and he had some water. And he asked the question, he said, so we have this glass jar, right? And if you put the water in first, and then you put the sand in second, what's going to happen? Well, obviously the water is going to pour over the top, right? If you put the small stones in first, water in second, no matter what, the water is still going to pour over the top. So that's all the other stuff that we really focus our day, right? So the rocks, which is what we haven't even talked about yet, what if we put those in first, and then put the small stones in, and then the sand in, and finish it off with the water? All 4 things would stay in the glass jar. So this visual really helped us understand what's most important. Where are we supposed to primarily focus our day, our week, our quarter? And that goes back to the big rocks. So the big rocks are, what are the things that we need to hone our emphasis and our energy in for the next 90 days? Those are the 4 to 6 things on your accountability chart.
Because it's so easy to get distracted. There's always new shiny object. There's a news on the TV. There's AI tools. There's a seminar that you go to. Just your quarter just started. You put your prioritization in place. You went to a marketing seminar or to a conference, and then you got ideas, right? I was like, oh, team, we got to do this right now.
I'm the worst. I go back, I bring 20 different ideas. I bring them back and I'm like, whoa. time out. Let's narrow this down to the top 3 things that we can take away and we can implement into what we're already doing. Because I used to do that. I'm sure a lot of us already have done that before.
New shiny object.
It's a awesome thing. Now let's go execute. It's very, very challenging.
It's super challenging, but it's also very good practice, because now I have mine. I'm in Q3 now. We're planning Q4. So every new shiny object that comes in, I was like, that's a brilliant idea. Let's place it for the Q4 prioritization. I'm not promising it's going to be happening, but we can prioritize it when the time comes up. When it cools down, when the thoughts settle in, you might have a different picture than jumping on it right away, because there's some urge, some tendency, something really sounds good, right? It's better planning. Always.
You got it.
Whoa. So rocks, guys, take on the biggest project first. Plan them, execute them, track them. And then, listen, it's easy to say so. You can say, okay, I'm going to commit to these projects. But let's say you start in July 1st. Now it's the end of the September. Quarter is past. How do you know that these things are really happening? What does the US says as an ongoing basis to know that you are doing things that you're supposed to do, or they call it on track?
And that's part of the system of the L10, and having a weekly meeting and revisiting that rock on a weekly basis to see where that person's at, where they were last week versus this week. So that's the accountability portion. So it gets complete. What can we do to help you get there faster? And the goal with EOS is at 80% completion by the end of the 90 days. So you're not always getting your rocks completed, but you're going to be in a way further on place than you are today after constant follow-up, constant attention. And we've been very, very good at getting our rocks completed. And it's taken time, it's taken energy, but we're so much better off than writing all the ideas on the board and saying, oh, that looked like a good idea. What happened there? So we're not doing that. We're using that weekly L10 meeting to making sure that we're staying on track. And if we're off track, as a team, we have to help you, Andre, help you get back on track.
Whoa. So line goes, you have 6 people in the L10 meeting. 5 of them are on track. The one says I'm off track. You put that as a IDS. Let's discuss about that, and then goes to discussion. Like, what does the company do, or you, or resources needed to get you back on track so you don't fall behind? So in a quarter, you have pretty much 13 meetings to catch up, instead of meeting at the end of the quarter and finding out, oh, I was missing login for Facebook. I couldn't advertise on ads. Week is the furthest you can go without catching up. And this helps us out. So what I'm thinking is, this implementation, you set priorities and you keep them on a weekly basis, is really important to get everybody clarity what to do. But there's something else you mentioned. It's like 80% is success. I think this is the first part where companies, individuals, owners, and management works on the business. So this is not business as usual. Business as usual is like classes coming in, things are happening, vendors have to be paid. It's a daily routine. EOS brings totally new perspective outside of the box, thinking, how can we take certain departments and certain projects to another level? It's working on the business and improvement. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it.
So now you mentioned something called scorecard.
Yeah.
Walk us through. Why scorecard? Scorecard is like game scorecard on, like, what do we measure? Like, how do we measure it?
So from the fitness, let's talk about fitness, right? So what are the 6 to 8 things on a weekly basis that we can measure based on your monthly goal? So our scorecard shows, EFT growth. It shows cancellations. It shows floor books. It shows your book percentage, your show percentage, your close percentage. It shows your total draft increase. Basically 6 to 8 productive areas, and each individual person owns that report every single week. So somebody on your team is responsible for reporting that on a weekly basis, but all of us are tied into those KPIs to make sure we're on track or off track. So let's say our goal is 100 memberships in a month, right? And for every week, we need 25 memberships. Yeah. At the end of every week, we sold 20 memberships. We sold 18 memberships. You know what? We had 17 walk-ins. The traffic's down. So what can we do to get the traffic up? What's something as a team that we can do if we're not hitting our goal to at least get somewhat closer to our goal? So what that scorecard does, it helps us understand every week, are we on track or are we off track? Instead of the things we've done in the past, which is waiting till the end of the month, getting a report and like, oh, we had 50 memberships. I wish I'd have known that sooner. So the scorecard feeds into the overall rock. It feeds into your 1-year target. It feeds into your 10-year goal. And everything feeds off the vision. It feeds off, the idea. It's broken down every 90 days, but we do it on a weekly basis to help us keep on track.
So that's impressive. EFT growth, cancellations, flow book, percentages of everything, like show rate, closing rate, like that on its own is one of the KPIs that people measure, but it's most of the time only one, right? Draft increase. This is where in any game, any sport, any discipline, anywhere you start the game, you start by turning on scorecard, right?
Yeah.
There's no Olympic game without measuring it. And we know the only games that are not measured is the game that nobody cares if there's a winner or loser. It's a fun game. It's a playful. It's a hobby. So if your business doesn't measure, you're not in the business. You're in a hobby, right? Maybe you have a hobby that they're giving you fun. Maybe you have a hobby that's giving you headaches. So why to have one? And we're all coming from a competitive world where scorecard is a measurement how competitive we are, how well we are doing. And I remember a story I was on a very big financial event where the CEO of the Chase Bank was there, just around when the financial inflation was kicking in, when all the money was being gone, right? He was saying by the end of August, all the money dispersed during the COVID is gone, and then the loans are coming back to kick in, and credit cards at the top of the maximum. So the banks like Chase is measuring everything. So they went from meeting once a week to meeting once a day to meeting 3 times a day to measure things, finding out. Public companies measure 3 times a day, like literally early morning, midday, at the end of the day. Like they break it down every couple hours, they measure it. So the more often you can change it. If your Facebook ad stopped for any reason, you lose a day of advertising. You lose 2 members. 2 members can be $3,000 or $4,000 lifetime value, gone forever, never recovered if you don't catch up on time. So scorecard is as important as every other element we spoke, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of want to add one extra layer to that, which it's not necessarily in the EOS model. I just think it's necessary for employee attrition, is growing your team personally and professionally. So I have an individual scorecard that I monthly with every single team member that I manage on growing them personally and professionally. So their scorecard is not always just KPI driven. It's things that they outside of the work, outside of the gym. Maybe it's family, maybe it's financially, maybe it's reading a book, whatever their scorecard is. If I give them my attention and I'm showing them that I care, ultimately it's going to help us still accomplish the same thing. So I invest way more time and energy in my staff, and it allows us our employee depletion to go down. It actually goes up because of all the attention that we're giving. And using that scorecard plan with EOS is still doing the same thing, but in two different areas.
I remember EOS talks about everyone has the number in organizations, but you're going even a step further, my friend Michael. What you're doing is like, let me go beyond work. Because keep in mind, people look for the job for one reason: they need money. But they quit the job for 1 or 2 reasons. Either they have misunderstanding or complex with management, or they hit a ceiling. And ceiling is, I don't feel I'm growing anymore. Now with this, you're doubling down. You're giving growth opportunity within the company, but also on a personal level. What are you doing to educate yourself to grow personally, mentally, financially? Like you're acting as a mentor that they don't have to pay for it.
We spend thousands and thousands of dollars in being coached by others outside of our organization. What if we don't charge and we just train and develop our own staff, and the return we're going to get in that is exponential? Because most people leave their job because of the 2 things you say, which is what's necessary for me and for help us grow our brand. And that's what separates us from the other brands out there, is because of all the time and energy we put into developing our kids room people, our trainers, our managers, our operating partners, our franchisees. We do monthly masterminds. We do weekly calls. I mean, we do huddles every single day. We do culture things outside of the business. So we're doing all of that because it's necessary for us not to lose employees, but actually retain employees.
You know who does that?
Who's that?
One person. And there's a quote on internet. Richard Branson.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He talks about
He said, invest in people so they can leave you tomorrow, but treat them well enough so they don't want to.
100%.
Like, put resources behind your people. People are your players. That's everything there is. There's no one person who created a world. You are not alone. You're not single soldier. There's absolutely no way that you can know it all. Invest in people so they can leave. But treat them well enough so they don't want to.
That's
Give
right.
them environment. So no matter who comes after them, they says, come on, I'm never going to get this thing over there. Even if I know more than your employees, you'll double my salary. You're not going to take me away.
You know, one of the questions I get a lot, Andre, in our company is, how do you keep people longer? And I said, well, let me ask you this. How do you think you should keep people longer? And that makes them really think. And they're like, well, it's a simple answer. How much time are you spending with your staff? Are you just talking about work? Are you talking about what they're doing well or what they're doing poorly? And so the more time and energy we give to our staff, the more they're going to believe in what we're doing. Yes. And you set the stage for what the expectation is, and you celebrate the wins every single week, every single month, every single year, and you celebrate that over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, this is a job that isn't hard. It's necessary, but we lose members every day. My goal, my vision is to not lose team members, because we're going to lose members. So the more time and energy we can give into our staff, the more it's going to help us hit our 10-year target.
Yeah. Somebody calculated wrong hire cost company $60,000. Think about this. You spend so much resources training somebody, and just because they felt not understood, they felt a lack of certain things, whatever reason, they go away. Right? You said one thing, celebration. That shows care. Let's start. Even US L10 agenda says, segue 5 minutes. What's the good news? Let's bring the good news. Let's start with the good news. And then we'll talk about rocks and scorecard and IDS, and there's a conclusion, and everybody rates the meeting, because meeting, it has its own scorecard at the end. So you know how, as a host of a meeting, you're doing, what can you do to improve it? It's like, it's all systematic. I used to come on a meeting, really pulled from another meeting right there. And then you come in with the mind, like, what I'm doing here, let me catch it, and then you wing it. Sure. If you wing a meeting without agenda, without processing, decisions are not made, they're rushed, they're postponed, things are not being discussed, people feel they wasted the time, like, why I'm even here? But if you properly think about everything, and this, for him, is not just a care, it's a process. For Michael, it's a process.
Yep.
And it's process not only on the corporate, but on each location level, down to each person who is dealing with each member. If they feel care, they'll care about others as well. We always do if you don't treat your employees well, when you're not around, they're not going to treat others as well. They might do it while you're present, but culture is a keyword here.
Yeah, I think
culture is how people behave when you're not around.
That's right. I think Teddy Roosevelt had a quote: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
And we have that as our mantra in a lot of our locations, and we emphasize that over and over and over again, and we quote it all the time. So more is always better. When I say more, attention is always better, not for from our team members, but even from our members, because we want our culture inside and outside the club to be, when they see our brand and they see what our goals are, now it's not just about, sell. It's about retention. It's about keep. It's about the environment. It's about the experience. And people come to our location. We like to represent ourselves as almost like the Starbucks of the fitness industry.
Yes.
Like, people come in, our coffee's fine, right? But they're coming in because of the experience, the environment. And that's what really separates, and that's the most attention that we can give, but it's the most necessary amount of attention that we can give, which is time with our staff.
I love it, man. So far, we covered a couple of things, guys. There's a rocks that it goes from planning, but rocks is not only quarterly planning. Quarterly is just one part of it. There's a 10-year vision that you put. There's a 3-year goal, what you want to accomplish. There's a 1-year goal where you're aiming by the next year, and then broke it down on 4 quarters. And then you break it down on weekly meetings and catching up. So it's a whole system. It's called VTO, Vision Traction Organizer.
Mhm.
that you get in, and then goes inside. Like, what's the vision? What's the mission of the company? What makes you different? So what's the three biggest differentiator between you and competitor? If you say customer service, everybody say customer service.
Yeah.
What in customer service?
Yep.
How do you differentiate? Why is that one different than any others? Like, oh, we have same employees greeting you. The people understand. When you change employees, for you is changing employees. For your members, it's like they change the total business. Like, who the heck is this person now? It's a game changer.
I'm getting goosebumps just hearing you talk about it because it's really like differentiated our business. We've actually grown revenue over 30% since we've instilled EOS into our model.
Whoa. And it's absolutely. So let me ask you this. What is the goal for Fitness Premier? Where do you guys want to take it? Now you're going through this called restructuring or structuring. This is called maturing the company, putting the processes in place and so on. What's the one of the or the next goals? Like what's the vision for a brand 2034, like 10 years from now? If you
Yeah.
don't mind sharing.
Question. So that's more on the franchise development side. So I think we have the systems in place that are easy to teach, easy to learn, hard to execute, and that's my job. Going in, training, developing our staff, and the tools so that they can grow at the club level.
Yeah.
But from the franchise level, now we're at a point now when we're really putting the gas on the gas pedal, and we are all steam ahead. We want to be at 50 to 100 locations in the next 3 to 5 years. We'd like to be at 100 locations overall by the 10-year target, and I think we do that. And the way we're doing that is we're looking for acquisitions. We're looking to merge existing independent health clubs that maybe they need help growing their footprint with some systems so we can get them out of the industry, but merge with them with our brand. So our ask would be, as we continue to evolve and grow, it's much easier to do that instead of starting from scratch in a new market. We'd like to acquire existing independent health clubs around the country. And we're doing that right now in the Southeast, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. So the Southeast, I think we have about 10 to 15 existing LOIs out there right now to grow the Southeast. And we have a couple in Tennessee that we just acquired. And then we just signed on a new franchisee in Castle Rock, Colorado. So we are highly motivated to now brand, and it's much easier to do it that way versus starting from scratch. Because where we typically are looking at is a tertiary, underserved, underdeveloped markets where
that's my question. Yes.
8 to 10,000 square foot box and give all the different amenities that you would expect to see in a 30,000 square foot box.
Like, how does, let's say somebody's listening to this, says, Fitness Premier, let me check it out. Do I even qualify for this? Like, what is your qualification for something? How do you know? Because you're not going to bring anybody. It has to be cultural fit. It has to be some kind of fit. How do you decide who is good match to participate in a future Fitness Premier brand?
Yeah, that'd be a conversation that we'd love to have. I think it just starts there. But for us, to be fully transparent, we would prefer to lock arms, come in as, like you said, we have everything to help you scale. You're just finding ways to grow. So we have all the tools necessary. We do everything from the back end that you don't have to do. All you can do is go and operate your business. But we would prefer to keep that location as is and go in and put our name on it, our facelift on it, put all of our systems in place and train and develop the current operator. And then we would pair up with them. We would prefer to be a merger than a straight out acquisition. I mean, we'll do both. But for us to open in the Southeast, 3,000 miles away, it's much easier to put somebody that's already there versus bringing somebody down there who's never been in that market before. So to answer your question, like, it's really going to depend on a lot of different scenarios. So I don't want to put a specific answer on it. It's going to be tight. But really, I would love to have conversations. We have a hit list that we're now reaching out to existing independent health clubs in those markets that we're looking to grow in, which allowed us to find Castle Rock, which allowed us to find the Charlotte, North Carolina, the South Carolina, the Greensville, Palm Beach. So we're in conversations now every single day with independent health club owners that, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I just need help. I just need guidance. I need structure. And that's where we come in and we help them eliminate the guesswork.
So this is interesting. Interesting for these people who are in that position. Because, listen, brand is on its inception based on how big it can be. And I always talk to people who are one of the very first franchisees in a big brand. And they're happy because they're there. They are like first 50. First out of like 200, 500. I was like, why? Because when I come in, I got territory and I'm in and I got undivided attention.
Sure.
Right? you get 1/200 of attention when you're 200 brand. When you're 20 brand, you get 1/20 attention. It's like, or if they're acquiring 10 locations a month, you get really attention versus acquiring 100 or 200. So coming in early, it's a benefit, not obstacle.
Mhm.
Because you're as well getting into this model, you are putting all the efforts to make sure it's right and profitable and working, and it's win for your brand, win for new location, win for their members.
Mhm.
Everything has to kind of get lift, and you already have a system in place. You're just applying it. You have recipes for success. You have a blueprint. Somebody would love to kind of say, hey, how can I, even if you give it just a book as a blueprint to somebody, it's not easy to implement as you coming in and says, this is how it's done.
Sure.
Whoa. So this is exciting. And listen, what I always want to bring people is your wealth of ideas here. EOS, let me ask you a simple question. Would your brand, would you grow if you don't do EOS? Like, what would be growth and challenges if you never found EOS system and put processes in place? Where I'm going with this is how critical implementation of EOS is for the future of Fitness Premier.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think we'd probably be at a same place, but it'd be challenging to help us grow without the systems because we had the system, they just weren't organized.
Sure.
If that
And
makes sense.
probably I'll ask you this in a year or two when you have 50 locations.
Yeah, but like
So,
when we laid out that PTO, we laid out our 10-year, 3-year, and 1-year target, and we checked in on a year. After the first year, I was absolutely amazed. I was absolutely amazed when we were setting goals for the 1 year. And I'll be fully honest. I'm an optimistic guy, but when I sat in that room, I go, "There's no way we're going to do this in a year," and we did it. And we did it. We crushed our 1-year target because we had so much attention, and the accountability chart helped us keep on track. The L10s helped us do on a weekly basis. And when we hit those goals after 1 year, I don't know what the total value was, but the gross revenue was excellent. It was like 10 times. It was like 10% higher than what our goal was. Just
no
revenue.
way.
And
because there's the processes, and you kind of exceeded the expectation of EOS because EOS usually goes through stages like norming when you're standardizing everything, and there's a stage of storming when you have to give up all the processes, take on the new ones, and there's a transition there. Some people have to leave the company. There's something called right people at the right seats. We didn't even touch that. Like some people have to leave, unfortunately. And that is called storming. When you feel like a lot of things are changing rapidly. And after that, it's called growing, like you're taking off because everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, we created an evaluation process based on EOS every 90 days with all of our employees. So the core essential. Do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have the capacity for it? And, it gives them like a plus minus grade. And, based on the core values that we've set. Certain people on your team, right seat, right bus, just they don't get it. Maybe they want it, but do they really have the capacity to be able to take on all these responsibilities because their skill set just isn't there?
Yeah.
So
and since you already have accountability chart, you know what's a requirement. So do they have capacity? Are they intelligent, smart, equipped, educated, driven enough to fulfill needed expectations?
Yeah, just because they're motivated today doesn't mean they're going to stay motivated. Like these younger up and coming hungry entrepreneurs, they want to get to here now. Like everything they see on Instagram, talk like blah blah blah. They don't want to start out here. They want to get to here now. So here's what you have to do to get there. They're like, I don't want to do that. I want to make 100 grand. So they're going to go sell shoes online to do that, right? So the challenge there is, attracting the right people at selling them the idea, the story. But our testimonials, our vision, our ideas, and all the people working for us have to help us do that. And that's been super, super advantageous for us. That's allowed us to get to 19 locations now. And like I said, we got 10 or 11 locations in the next year that we're going to be opening because of this that we've been building with the help of EOS.
Have you ever got a challenge letting person go?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I'm a people guy. It's the hardest part of the job. It's part of the job. It's the hardest part of the job because I care so much about people. Like I was a coach, I was a principal, I was a teacher. Like, for them to come in my office and have a conversation with them, I don't want to let them go because I care so much. But sometimes you have to, do what's best for the business and almost sell it to them that, we're helping you spread your wings and grow, because clearly it isn't working out for you or for us. So when that conversation happens, I'm much better having that now than I ever have. I have a lot more experience doing that, but I'd rather move a different direction than to keep this never-ending cycle of no change.
Yes. And this, you guys don't have to fire people if you have a good hiring process. But hiring process comes with the good expectations. Good expectation comes with a good system. So if you have a system that says your accountability is this, I had a problem in the past, I would hire a person just because I like them.
Yep.
And then we open a new department in the company, and I ask my existing team, trying to be company with a career growth opportunity within a company, like you can make career progress. And I would come says, who wants to become a product person? Right? People in the success team says, oh, I would love to do that. It's like, okay, cool. I'll send you to conference, check it out this day, go and be a product. And then I set them for a failure. I set them for expectations they didn't even know they're facing. I didn't know what to face. And of course, after a year of trying, and they are doing the best of their ability, it's not their fault. It's a company's fault. It's my fault.
Oh boy.
Right? So don't do that, because if you have a clarity, not only what's job description, but what the job is, what's expected, how you're going to be measured. If they know that they'll have to report the numbers every week, they'll have to get it one in capacity to do it, evaluation every quarter. If they know what's the cultural values, and you don't bend, we have no jerk policy. No jerk. That means if somebody show jerk-like behavior, you're out.
Right.
Period. And it's like, we don't tolerate. But knowing that, and we put our culture and our expectations now in job hiring, so it filters out people immediately. So having that system in place helps you with the hiring, right?
Yeah. So the hiring tool, which we haven't even really talked about, Andre, is we use Culture Index. We use Culture Index to hire people, which you may or may not be.
Say that again. Turn.
It's called Culture Index.
Culture Index.
Culture Index is a hiring and managing tool. So with Culture Index, there's 4 traits. You have an A trait, a B trait, a C trait, and a D trait. So when you do a 5-10 minute survey, you'll find out how they're wired. Now, CI believes that most of our traits are established by age of 12. Motivations might change, right? But who you are is established by age of 12. So the A trait is ego, the B trait is the social ability, the C trait is the patience, and the D trait is your organization. So what the survey does allows to put people in the right seat, right place based on their traits. So if they're a franchisee, we create C jobs or identifiers that put them at a higher percentage based on how they're wired. So it allows us to really identify how they're wired, because how do most people act when they're interviewed? They're interviewed. They're not actually, they're acting. They're playing out a scenario of they're the best candidate for the job. They're not actually, they lie on their resume.
They do. Everybody, a lot of them do.
The CI survey identifies to us pre-interview how they're wired, so now we can have that conversation to make sure they're the right fit for the job that we're applying them for. And then from there, even more important, Andre, even more important than that, every 90 days, we take a survey again. And what it does, it helps us manage people based on how they're wired. Now we're asking the questions and motivating them based on how they're wired as well.
So pretty much you're avoiding, what do you call it? If you judge the fish based on their ability to fly, you'll always get a wrong judgment. But if you judge them based on their ability to fish or to swim or something, it's different. So setting up not only job requirement, but also mindset, psychology fit, your intercore, something you cannot even easily learn or change. Somebody who is perfectionist, it's perfection. They cannot be sloppy. And somebody who's sloppy might be idea guy, might be great energy person, maybe somebody who can start a process, fire everybody up, but to finish it, bomber.
You got it.
And that's where you find to recognize. And first needs to know how you know who needs to be fit for that. So it's Culture Index, CI.
It's the top personality trait survey out there. You've heard of DISC before.
Disc, I've used a disc and I'm impressed. I think
Yeah,
disc is supposed to be used for dating. You do a disc, you give it to date. It's like, this is me.
yeah. DISC can be manipulated. It's like 55% accurate. It can be manipulated throughout the survey, so people can actually adjust the scores based on their answers. CI can't do that. It's 92% accurate. It's the highest out there. Do your homework and do some research on it. I'm a huge believer in it, huge advocate on it, and in my training development background, like I went through many different certifications through CI, and we instilled that into our hiring managing process, which again has helped us retain people.
Wow. So give me some numbers. You post ads out there.
Mm-hmm.
How many people you look to apply before you start interviewing? How many people do you get on a first interview? Do you have a second interview? Like, what's the numbers of expectation? Because a lot of people will just get 2 applications and hire first one.
Never. No, we hire very slow. I mean, it's a slow process. With my teaching background, I'm a big believer in giving assignments out. And if they come back and they completed the assignment, they've earned the next interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something that helps
So
us.
test.
Yeah, like a test. Like, hey, I want you to go to a competitor. I want you to get a tour. I want you to report back exactly how the tour went. I want you to talk about the experience you had at a Planet Fitness and how did they act? What did they do? What did they say? And then come back and now I want you to go through our experience. So 5 out of probably 10 people don't even do that step, which are those the type of people that you actually want to, right? Or I'll send them
self-elimination.
Yeah. And
then based on their report, you know what they're paying attention.
You got it. Yeah.
And pretty much those businesses, do they have dirty restrooms or not? Or will they report on that? Do they understand what's important or not? Yep. Setting their expectations, a level of understanding and their level of expectations.
And if those people aren't going to do a simple task like that in the beginning, are they really going to be a good team member on your team? And it goes back to, are they a fountain or are they a drain? And more
you did personal training for free for a long time until you get in. It's like, you know what it means to be, and you did it not because you wanted to be where you are today. You did it because you loved doing it.
Loved it.
I was like, boom, I get a free membership. Sign me on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, bring it on. You do it. What would you do if the money is not a question? And then do that for the job, and you will never work day in your life. It's a connection of success. Like, and this is a good test. Oh my God, man, we can have this conversation day and night, and we gotta continue to one of those another episodes. Listen, I gotta wrap it up with a couple of really rapid questions.
Okay.
You learned a lot. I want to ask you questions that help me and help understand who are your teachers. So let me understand, who do you follow in industry? Who's the podcast, influencer, coach, person? Where do you get your knowledge?
Yeah, the top 2 that come to mind, Andy Elliott, who's kind of the new up-and-coming sales guy. He used to sell cars. So I started following him, and he's great at sales, but I love his passion. I love his energy. I love his ideas. He's probably a little bit like aggressive at times, but at the same thing, for me, it's about finding how does he connect to the younger audience, because that's who we're attracting now, right?
Andy Elliott.
And Andy Elliott. Ed Milet is another one that I've heard multiple times. Ed Milet wrote a book called The Power of One More, and it's a phenomenal book that I would highly recommend. Then the third, I had the pleasure of going out to a conference 2 weeks ago. Tim Grover, who trained Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, he wrote a book called Relentless, and I got pictures with him. I met him personally, and just hearing his story, those are 3 high-level names that I will continue to follow. But if I can take 1 or 2 key ingredients that work for them and instill that back into us, it's only going to help us grow.
Relentless, guys. Because of you, last conversation, you told me about that book. I bought it at that time. I am listening it every day. I'm driving to the gym and back. Boom, that's a book.
Right.
I mean, just tone of this guy. Michael Jordan said after 15 years being trained by this guy, he says, I'm paying you not to train me, paying you not to train others. And after 15 years, he says, if I see you in my neighborhood once again, I'm going to shoot you. Like, he squeezed out from Michael Jordan most. And this is not only how he trained, but what's the mindset of the people who are best in the field, period. 1 in a billion. And you hear it from the writer's voice. It's read by him. Uh, if you listen audiobook, of course. Boom, Relentless.
Phenomenal book.
And the industry didn't exist. NBA players never had bodybuilding, personal training ever. He started the industry, and he was not even professional athlete trainer. So this is how you get things done. Boom, whoa, love it. You already answered my book question. That's incredible, Michael. I gotta say, you brought some incredible ideas to people, to myself, to people who are listening, and inspiration. I hope whoever is listening to this, you guys are pausing, downloading the notes of this podcast, getting action. Put this, if you don't have quarterly planning, make it this quarter plan. If you do have quarterly planning, prioritize it. Operations is the number one. And if you're looking to join this incredible company, Fitness Premier, and your local gym that's inspired by this story, Michael, how do they reach out to you? LinkedIn, or is there any process for somebody to say, hey, I would love to talk about this?
Yeah. Right on our website, fitnesspremierclubs.com. There's actually, a contact us page that you can send me an email, or direct right to my email would be info@fitnesspremierclubs.com. Would also get to me. Or I'll tell you what, call me on my cell phone, 815-530-2265. Like, I work 24 hours a day. I absolutely love, not afraid to put my information out there.
There you go. You're a gem, Michael. You are the man. You're an incredible gift to this community. I appreciate you coming on today and selflessly sharing all the knowledge, tools, tricks, strategy, and empowering this community. Appreciate you. Thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you so much for the invite. Appreciate it, Andre.
Wow, what an episode, right? Thank you guys for tuning in into this top-rated gym podcast. We hope you found valuable insights and practical tips to help you tackle the challenges of gym ownership. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. We want to reach the community. With your help, we can be the biggest contributor, biggest resources for you and other gym owners. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, YouTube. If you have any questions, feedback, or topics you would like us to cover, or people you would like us to interview, or if you want to be interviewed on the podcast, reach out at topratedgym.com. Stay tuned, stay motivated, keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off. Bye.